Welcome to Wisdom Talk Radio, a collaborative community of explorers in conscious living. Welcome to today's episode of Wisdom Talk Radio. This is where we get to explore the depths of conscious living and what it truly means to live an expanded life. Join us to be inspired and encouraged, transformed, and hopefully to, when you're finished listening, that you end with some kind of a deeper sense of joy, really, and of possibility. The capacity and the willingness to embrace your own story extends into every stage of life. The importance of that, what you have to say, what you want to share. And really, though, that can be a struggle for people past, we could call it a certain age, whatever that may be. But particularly in this youth-focused culture. Do I have something important to share? Will I be heard? My guest today not only is living this mandate herself, but is creating the means for others to share their wisdom at any age. I'm Laurie Seymour, host of Wisdom Talk Radio and CEO and founder of the Baca Institute, the home of the quantum connection process. You can go there to discover your unique connection with the essence of who you are by taking the quantum connection quiz. Why quantum connection? Because we're each designed to connect with source, connect with the essence of the universe differently. And knowing your own style helps to open a deeper connection with the universe. That really is the secret to creating what you want in your life, whether that's in your business world, in your personal life, in your health and your well-being. Because who you are is exactly who is needed. So my guest today is Olivia Parr-Rud, who is a former data scientist who has embraced her soul's purpose. She is inspired to mentor those who feel a deep responsibility to creating a better world for future generations. As the founder and visionary behind the Quantum Wisdom Institute, she's a sister, right? She empowers her clients to access, package, and share their wisdom so they can create a meaningful impact while leaving a lasting legacy. A renowned author, her latest book is 77 Secrets to Amazing Aging, which just came out very recently. Olivia also hosts the popular Amazing Aging podcast. Welcome, Olivia, to Wisdom Talk Radio. I'm really delighted to have you here as a guest.
Oh, thank you, Laurie. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
So, I know that you say that you help wisdom bearers become wisdom sharers, excuse me. It's such a beautiful way to put that. So what inspired you to do this? What inspired you to guide our elders, our seniors to share their wisdom?
That's a great question. I think as you said, I was a data scientist. That was my main career for 35 years. And yet all that time, I never felt like I was really doing my soul work. I felt successful professionally, financially, but never at that deeper soul level. And even one time in a meditation, I said, why am I here? Why am I stuck in the corporate world? I really don't like the culture. And I got this clear message, which doesn't happen very often. And it was, this is where you need to be to learn the skills to do your real work. And I had no idea what my real work is. This was like 25 years ago this happened. And yet in my career as a data scientist, I was asked to write a book. So I wrote a book, a technical book, and then I was asked to speak on stage, which terrified me, and writing a book terrified me. And the demand for it moved me to do it, work through my fears.
Mm.
And at one point I thought, oh, maybe these were the skills I needed. So when I retired, I thought, I bet you there's other people who are retired from corporate or
Mm.
older and have something they want to make a difference in the world. I mean, if we look around with the chaos we're going through, I think there's so much wisdom that we don't have tap because, like you say, we're a very youth focused culture, and
Mhm.
much of our elders are dismissed or ignored. And I just feel like there's so much wisdom there. So I thought, well, I started writing books on things that I'd learned over my lifetime. Perhaps there's
Mm.
others. And that's where I came up with the idea of helping other
Ah.
wisdom bearers or elders or sages get
Mhm.
their wisdom out through writing and speaking.
Wow, that's amazing. So it, I didn't realize how much that's your focus, around really bringing that kind of wisdom that could just disappear, but to bring that into being. So what does that look like? So somebody comes to you and says, "I have something to share," because so many people don't know that how much they do have to share.
Yeah. I usually invite people to think about, are you the type of person that loves to give advice? I was that person for a lot of my life because I was a
Mhm.
problem solver. And, I've learned to curb it in a way that, people wanted. I ask if they want a suggestion. But I think there's a lot of people, if they feel that urge, they probably have something to share. So I have this type of wisdom I call quantum wisdom.
Mhm.
And if you think of a Venn diagram, it's your gifts and talents, your knowledge and experience, and your passions and intuition all overlapping. And a lot of this develops as we age, our experience definitely, and how we learn through life as well. And we have natural gifts and talents. So I feel like all those things go together with our passion to create our quantum wisdom. And people may not know what it is. So I help people discover that through exercises, through processes, and some ways of interacting with others to see what is their wisdom. Many people
Mhm.
know what it is, but if they don't, we have ways to help them with that. And then we look at tying it with their purpose. And there's ways we can tap into that if they're not aware of what that is. And many people are. But if not, then we help them tie their wisdom into their purpose, because that's what gives us the fire. I
Mhm.
believe, I could, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people when they get older, I think want to slow down, and that's great. But it can lead to sometimes people get depressed or
Mhm.
bored or miss inspiring people. So this is a way to do that. And then I help people get their wisdom into print. And so through my program, we create a manuscript and then we can get that published if they would like. And
Ah.
get it out there. And then if people are interested in speaking, we have ways to help them do that. And it doesn't have to be on stage. It could be on podcasts. They can just share their
Mhm.
wisdom on another person's podcast, have their own podcast, write a blog. There's just so many ways to get our wisdom out. And as I said before, I think where we are in our evolution as a species, the changes we're going through, that wisdom
Mhm.
is being called forth. I think we really need it to guide the younger generation.
Do you think the younger generation is open to it? Is open to actually receiving that gift?
Well, that's a good question. I think that some are, maybe some are not. And as we, as elders, get our wisdom out into the ways, into the channels online that, and, through the internet that
Mhm.
where the young people get their information, I think it'll get received more. And I feel it's in a way it's from our higher power or God or, source. So if I feel like if that's shining through us, as we share our wisdom, then it'll attract the right people.
Mm,
And I think the people being born today are are there. I think we're evolving as a species, and some of the younger people are already at a higher level. I don't know if that makes sense,
mhm,
but
mhm,
as we evolve, we might be going from 3D to 5D. I've heard that spoken
mhm,
about. I think there's young people that are already there, and they're on, being born and going like, I need guidance. I've got ideas, and they may even be born with deep wisdom, and they
mhm.
need way showers and people who know how to navigate our world as we do now to help guide them and really kind of get their wisdom out as well.
So there's something in being a way shower to the way showers.
Yeah, great way to put it. That's great.
Yeah. And in doing that, um, there is so much of an impact around transforming the world. I mean, that's something that I'm really passionate about. Not so much, oh, the world needs to be changed, but
Mhm.
if we're going to really be here on planet Earth and be able to receive the new frequencies and transform along with that, there's something around the generational connections that seems very important.
I agree. And it used to be, I believe, say 100 years ago, that there was more interaction with elders and young
Mm,
people. They just lived close together or in the same home many times. And now there seems to be more of a separation. And there's places where people who are older go now. And I feel like that might be what we need, but I would like to see us have ways to connect in there more. And one of my desires, and I've done a little bit of this, is to reach out to some of these places where elders live
mhm.
and go in there and find their wisdom and help get it out to the world.
Ooh, what does that look like? Or what do you have a picture for what that could look like?
Yeah, I have done a few presentations in senior homes, and I don't find people are ready to say write a book. A lot of them are not in a physical state to be able to do that. But just the conversations we have inspire me, and I feel like there's other places I haven't tapped yet, but maybe like over 55 communities, places
Hmm.
where people are still vibrant and uh, retired, have good means, but no real purpose. And I have heard from a friend of mine, he coaches retired people for retirement, for planning their finances. And he says a lot of times they'll come in just after retirement and they're really full of energy and excited and
Hmm.
have all these plans, and then a year later they they come back and they're depressed and maybe using a cane, and he'll say, well, what have you been doing? And they go, nothing. And I think that's so sad and it's hard for the person with the wisdom who's not
Hmm.
getting out there, and then the world misses out on it as well.
Yeah, it's I see this over and over and over again of people saying, "Oh, I can't wait to retire," or "What am I going to do when I'm retired? I'm going to do this and that and the other." And you talked a few times about purpose. So I'd love for you to speak to what you mean about finding one's purpose and having and connecting that the wisdom to the purpose.
I My belief is that we are born with a soul purpose or some reason, some unique offer that we have for the world.
Hmm.
And it doesn't mean it has to be on a grand scale. It could just
Hmm.
be helping one other person. So I feel like finding that is what brings many of us such joy. And just I believe when we're on it, we have the ability to tap into some energy that fuels us to do things that might scare us, or even just, I think it's just exciting, or at least that's been my experience. And people who I've worked with have had that experience where they find their purpose and now they have more energy, more excitement, more zest for life, just more joy.
And so yeah, you also mentioned, I mean, we were talking about wisdom, sharing one's wisdom. How do you define wisdom?
Well, as I mentioned, I look at the quantum wisdom, which is our gifts and talents, our knowledge and experience, and our passions and intuition. That's really how I think of wisdom. It just encompasses so much of our life.
And so when that comes together, what do you have?
Well, I call it quantum wisdom. It's this
Okay.
juicy nugget that I do feel is unique for each person. It might be similar to others, but I really
Mhm.
feel like each have something unique. So maybe we're born with a purpose, and then as we develop and learn through our life, we it forms a unique wisdom that only we can share
Mhm.
from our unique perspective. And I feel like a lot of the difficulties we experience through life are for a reason. And I
Mhm.
have had many. I remember when I figured out after I graduated, kind of graduated, after I retired, when I
Yeah, right.
figured
That is a
out,
graduation.
right, when I figured out my purpose, I thought, oh, okay, I see now. I did have to go through all those things.
So how would
Yeah.
you describe your purpose? I mean, you've kind
I
of referenced it, but
my unique purpose, I feel, is uh, to help others find their wisdom. So I think when I said my real work, when I was doing the meditation, I
Mhm.
needed to learn the skills. So at that point, I never thought I could write a book. I never ever thought I'd speak on stage. That
Mhm.
terrified me. And I went through so much, I worked through so much fear because by then I had started doing my own healing work, my own trauma work, healing myself, and I reached the point where I was no, I knew if something scared me, but there was no logical reason to be afraid, then I had
Mhm.
to move through it. And
Yes.
I'll just say, even the first time I did a podcast, I was very scared, right?
Oh, of
And now,
course.
and I'm sure you can remember the first time you hosted.
Hmm.
Uh, and and then I feel like now I look back, oh, that's easy, that's fun.
Yeah.
There's always a bit of a nervous energy, but it's not. Uh, we don't fear it like I feel like sometimes we do. And there are
Hmm.
people who never have those fears, and that's great.
They
But
may have other ones, and it may not be
yeah,
fear that moves them or holds them back.
right.
Maybe something else.
Yeah, exactly. So I invite people to look where they have fear because I feel like that might be a signal for
Hmm.
where their next growth opportunity is.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's where the growing edge is.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
There was a conversation I was having with a friend quite some time ago, who's older than I am, and we were talking about retirement. And she said, and today happens to be her birthday, which is interesting that we're talking about this. But she was talking about instead of what are we retiring from, like you were a data scientist, what are we retiring into? Which
Hmm.
opens up things in such a different way to think about not what we'd want to do in terms of leisure time. Oh, I want to play golf every day. I have a friend that loves to play pickleball every day. But what is it that we wish to create now that we have time and space and energy?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know that everyone does. Everyone has that, but I feel like a lot of us do. And that's where if we don't have that missing piece, because I think you can play pickleball, you can play golf, you can even travel,
Hmm.
and then feel like there's still no meaning. And
Yeah, there's still a so what.
yeah, and for those people, I feel like those people want to impact others and maybe think of it as serving the greater good. So
Mm.
uh, yeah, and I really don't know what percent of the population is meant for it, but I really do feel like there are people who or older want meaning in their life, feel like they have something to contribute
Mm-hmm.
and have wisdom to share and need a place to get it out
Mm-hmm.
and guidance around that. So that's
And
kind of
and
my
it sounds like that's what your expertise now is, and what you really
right.
committed to doing is helping other people to get that out.
Yes, exactly.
Do you find that when you're able to do or to do that, when they're able to do that, that their health improves?
I think so. One of my first clients was an at the time he was 80 and he had worked as a rocket scientist all his life. Name's
It
Bart
wasn't my
Barthol.
brother, was it?
No. And he had even designed one of the rockets, one of the jet fighters, like brilliant man. And he was born and raised Catholic. And when he was a kid, he would be in church and this light would come through the stained glass window and they would talk about God is light. And he just thought that was God. And so then, of course, he went on this scientific track, got a PhD in rocket science, I think, or physics or whatever, and lived in that world. And then as he got older, he started feeling this tension, and he thought, I wonder what is there in science and spirituality that
Mm-hmm.
might be similar. So I helped him, and he wrote a book called Godlight. And it's not really where anything is concluded. It's more like, well, could this be the same as that? And
Mm-hmm.
and he looks at biblical references and pieces in science, topics in science, and just proposes questions. And it's just this beautiful book of inquiry, really. And now he's created the Godlight Institute, and he's speaking all over the world. And we went to Spain in May. He was 84 years old. We were actually sitting outside at a little, outdoor cafe right after a rugby match between, I think it was the guys in Madrid and the guys from the UK. And they were wild, right? And they did this thing
Mm-hmm.
where they laid on their backs and in a line, and then people sort of body surfed over them,
Mm-hmm.
like they were holding you and you would body surf. And Bart at 84 years old did that. I didn't even have the courage to.
Bravo.
Really,
I
exactly.
think I met him at your launch for your last book. I think
Oh,
was he
that
there?
was no, he meant he was traveling and he couldn't get on,
Oh,
but
okay, so there was somebody that
but
reminded me.
Carl was there who probably mentioned Godlight because
Yes,
he
okay.
helped with it. Yes. And Carl's another one who retired as an analyst from a career in insurance, and
Mm-hmm.
now he helps companies to extract knowledge from people who are, say, retiring and leaving with a lot of, say, corporate wisdom or company
Mm-hmm.
wisdom. And he has a really powerful method, and I'm going to work with him to get a book out on that, to
Ooh, so you have
how
some
to
exciting
really,
things coming up.
yeah, to ask great questions of people. I mean, there's all that science around just being a good person,
Hmm.
uh, able to ask good questions, which I think you do, by the way.
Thank you, thank you. So
Yeah.
I'd love to cross some or connect some bridges or cross some bridges here in thinking about the value and the importance of sharing wisdom. That's not limited to people of past a certain age. It's not limited to the elders. So I'm wondering what guidance, what tips you might have for people in general sharing their wisdom and how to do that.
Sure. So just to say, I feel drawn to working with older people, and I know there's younger people with lots of wisdom, and I feel like they're welcome to work with me, and I think there's a lot of people serving that market. So I'm so inspired by that.
うん
I kind of think of my market or my the people whom I'm here to serve are perhaps retired corporate like me, and
Hmm.
uh, have a different way of looking at things. Um, so what I would ask people to notice if they're wondering what it is, maybe their purpose or their wisdom to share, is notice what you're doing when you lose track of time. So if you can start, let's say you love photography and you do that for hours and you're just
Hmm.
in flow. That may be a clue to what is your unique wisdom, your gift to the world is just taking beautiful pictures, or music, or even caring for others. If you love helping people, you maybe set out to be a nurse or a caretaker or something like that. If you love being in the outdoors, then that may be your wisdom comes from helping others learn about nature or certain
Hmm.
geography or place in the world. So it can be really anything. What I believe we naturally enjoy is a clue to our unique wisdom and our purpose.
Hmm. That's beautifully said, and I'm just it just lights up so many pictures for me, because I'm thinking about people who forget that they have something, and
Yeah.
that's the little piece that would make such a difference. So
Yes.
it's the connecting of, yes, this is what I love to do. And here's another aspect to it that, especially when it comes to sharing, that gets us or keeps us connected in the world, connects us with our community, perhaps.
And I believe it slows our aging, keeps us young,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
not just being excited about life, but being around other younger people
Mm-hmm.
is and mentoring younger people is a great way to stay young, I think, for ourselves.
Yeah. Yes.
And when I was a data scientist, I got in a little bit later because I raised kids for 10 years, and then I got a master's degree and then ended up working in a credit card bank in the very beginning of this explosion of data science.
Wow.
And so I was always working with people 10 or 15 years younger than me.
Right.
And my last
Mm.
position was with Cisco on their global digital marketing team. And I was in my late 60s. And my partner was this 24-year-old guy in Ireland. And
Mm-hmm.
I and we would work together on projects, and it wasn't like there was any real difference. But one day it occurred to me I'm old enough to be his grandmother. I didn't say anything. I don't even know if he knew how old I was. I don't think he did because we never met in person.
Ah.
Uh, we would be on Zoom meetings, so they knew I was older. But the work we did was quite compatible, and
Mm-hmm.
we helped each other. So it was it was fun. And I realized being in that culture just with lots of younger people and not really being seen as somebody different kept me
Right.
thinking young,
Mm-hmm.
feeling young.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned, writing books, being on podcasts, perhaps starting a podcast.
Mhm.
What are some other ways that people can share their wisdom?
I think you can do coaching or consulting or write a blog,
Hmm.
even just sharing if you have a community, sharing even within that community or your church. Volunteering is a great way to share your wisdom. It doesn't have to be
Mm-hmm.
tied to some high pressure job or anything, or starting a business. It can be helping a neighbor or a friend, really someone who seems to be struggling. If you have a answer or some ideas, and then ask them if they want a suggestion. That
That's a
was
really important tip because I've been guilty of offering
uh,
suggestions that are not really wanted.
me too. I want to share a funny story about that because I think wisdom bearers tend to be advice givers, right? And I was
Mhm.
had a lot of trauma when I was young, and then was had to figure things out a lot for myself through life.
Mhm.
And so I had lots of good solutions for people. And I was also my empathy was really shut down from early trauma. Okay, so I my sister-in-law, I love her, and she'd call me up and she'd complain about stuff, and I would just give her one solution after another, right? And she'd not be too appreciative. I now can step back and understand why.
Yes.
And I have gotten a lot better. But one time, and this was really a turning point for me, she called me up and she goes, Olivia, I want to tell you something and I don't want you to fix it. And I'm thinking to
Right.
myself, that's really interesting. Okay. Like, why wouldn't she want my great advice? That's what's going on in my head, right? So I really had to make myself stay quiet
Hmm.
and I listened. And as she was speaking, she really solved her own problem. She just needed a good person to hear her.
Yes.
And it was such a breakthrough for me. I went, oh, I finally understand coaching, which is, because I don't call myself a coach. I call myself a mentor because I like to also contribute ideas. And I am now a much better listener.
Yeah,
Because
sometimes
when
there's
I
that
realized,
space that's needed. Let me just say this so I can hear it.
exactly, exactly. And the fact that she came up with a solution that was better than what I thought of, it was very humbling. And
Mm-hmm.
I was so grateful to her. So it's taught me. And then actually years earlier, I remember giving somebody advice and my girlfriend took me aside and said, you know, people don't always want your advice. I go, really? What do I, so I said, what do I do if I have a really good idea? She goes, ask them if they'd like a suggestion. So I thought, okay,
Hmm.
that's a really good idea. And I got really good at doing that.
Yeah, because
Not
that
people want
invites you, it invites them into it and invites you into it in a way that says, oh, yeah, I am open to receive something.
exactly. And if they don't, and many times they will say yes, but then, like you say, then they've asked a little bit, so it's better
Hmm.
received by them.
Right.
And I personally, I don't like people throwing advice at me either, right? So I get it. It was a
Hmm.
a great growth experience for
Hmm.
me.
Hmm. So now when you are working with people, and they've actually come to you for not just advice, but for help and, bringing
Mhm.
something to the foreground. Um,
Mhm.
and that's a very precious and tender kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just finishing up a book of my own and realizing the vulnerability that's there. Is this something of value? Is this something that somebody's going to want to read? This is, it's all very personal, and my personal way of seeing the world, um, and my offering, really. And will
Mhm.
our offering be received?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you help people in the people that you're working with to transit that, to navigate that?
It can be scary. I've experienced myself,
Mhm.
and I feel like because I have, I can definitely empathize where they are.
Mhm.
I also can do work around removing blocking beliefs. A lot of it is a a mindset we got perhaps programmed into us. Some of us have trauma, so we're afraid to show up and be vulnerable. And I feel like there's if we feel that fire to get something out, then we will be safe if
Mhm.
we take a risk. So I invite people to, think about what is the worst thing that can happen if you go out there and do this. I just think everybody's personal story has something, especially if you feel drawn to write about it, that
Mhm.
it's going
Mhm.
to serve someone. So I have two ways of looking at it. I feel like if one person has a benefit, then it was worth it. And another thing that kind of keeps me accountable is that I've had several times where I've gotten close to dying,
Mhm.
breast cancer or car accidents, things like that. So when I realized how difficult my life has been, I think perhaps those were to wake me up and to come out and do something. And so I had this thought, like, what if I have this knowledge of this is why I'm here to help people bring their wisdom out to the world,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't follow through with it. And then I get to the end of my
Mm.
life and I'm at the pearly gates or end of life review or whatever the
Uh-huh.
belief is.
Mm-hmm.
And I get this, okay, we gave you all that you needed to fulfill your purpose and you didn't do it. So now you have to come back and go through another life of learning. It's like, I don't want another life like this.
Mm.
And so it motivates me to move forward. And I would think others who, I mean, it's kind of a fear-based away from motivation. So, that might not be
Well, it's
great for.
also we could flip that and look at it as you have more to do, and you'd
Mhm.
like to get on with whatever the next step is. So you've
Yeah,
got to do this
that's
one.
great. Right, because there's a new world.
New
I
world
even
again.
hear
Yeah.
that I hear that there's technology that'll be coming out that could extend our lives and slow our aging even more. So yeah, so maybe there's just so much we could uh, share and then
Hmm.
uh, evolve to the next level of whatever humanity is meant to be, which I believe we can create heaven on earth. And I feel like we have the wisdom to do that.
Well, we do, and I'd love for you to share a little about your 77 Secrets to Amazing Aging, because there are some secrets in there, or at least some and some ways that yeah, okay, I know this, but then there's like, oh, here's one I didn't know about. Um,
Mm.
why were you drawn to put that together? And tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I wanted to get, so like I said, I love giving advice and I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of different areas of life because
Uh,
I've been through a lot physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And I thought, oh, I could just write a book and have all those out there. So if people want my advice, they can get the book. And so I cover a lot of physical because I was nearly killed in a car accident when I was 19. Spent almost a year immobilized, and when I got out, they go, "Oh yeah, your bones healed," but they didn't tell me, "Oh, your immune system is shot and your
mhm,
digestive systems is shot." So I had to rebuild those things, and I had to figure it out myself because I'd by then lost both my parents. And so I thought, well, this would be a great way to share a little bit about, for each secret, a little bit about why I share it, and then give the secret. It's very short, um, real quick read. And there's just, I feel like there's 77 different things that I feel slowed my aging. And a couple of them I figured out on my own. So I like, to weave those in
mhm.
for people that may not have thought of it.
Ooh, do you have one
Yeah.
of those that you could share with us today?
Um, yeah, let me think. So I I look at everything that happens, negative or positive, with gratitude. And I've came to that because, as I said, I lost my parents. So when I was 5, my father died in a plane crash. And really at that point, my mother was gone all the time. So I kind of lost both parents. And while there are issues related to that, I've worked through abandonment issues and that trauma. And at the same time, I watched my mother become a very strong businesswoman and very successful.
Mm,
And I realized that when I would talk to my friends when my kids were little, and many of them didn't know how to balance a checkbook, they didn't
mhm.
even imagine being in business. And I realized that gift of having that role model
Yeah.
and fearlessness. I never understood this fight for women's rights, really. I
Mm,
mean, I kind of understand it in retrospect, or did when I look back at that point. But I didn't, I thought, well, we can do anything we want. We can be in business. I didn't feel that. And then I knew why. So I have gratitude for that, even though I wouldn't choose it, or I would,
mhm.
change it if I could. but there's just a gift in everything. So I feel like that is a great way, because the more we're positive, I believe that keeps us younger. They say, the smile it releases endorphins and
Mm,
other things that are good for our bodies. So I feel like joy and being good about whatever's going on, having a positive take on it.
mhm. Not Pollyanna, not ignoring it,
Oh,
recognizing that, well, maybe this is showing me something that I can use in some other way,
yes,
which is really
yes.
what you did with your whole corporate experience.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I now realize why I had to go through that.
Hmm.
And it gave me skills.
Hmm.
I still also have this desire to speak to corporations about bringing in more human skills. And I think that is a trend now. But when I was a data scientist, I realized that everything that was linear was being automated. And so
Mm.
we needed to be and outsourced. And so it really even the playing field. And so corporations needed to be tapping into more innovation and creativity to really
Hmm.
compete. And also with the advances in technology, the human value is so much higher because everybody uses a computer to replace. Let me put it this way: years ago, if it's when we were just maybe a simple manufacturing base country, if the CEO got upset with a worker, he could probably take his job over and
Mm.
kick him out. Today, that's not true. The CEO probably can't do the job of 75% of the people in the company because
Hmm.
there's just so much complexity. So it requires the CEO to have more human intelligence and emotional intelligence to keep people happy and motivated and inspired. Anyway, it was a little bit of a
No,
side
that's
view.
great. That's great.
But
I
it's another form of wisdom.
Mhm. It is. It is. And, my work is around creative intelligence and,
Yeah.
going into that place where we do connect with the quantum field and bring
Mm.
that through. And how do we create from that place? That's what, for me, what true innovation is. But we're
Yeah.
not going to get off on that because that'll take me down another road.
And I believe that is such a juicy place. And as
It
a
is.
wisdom bearers, being brought into that can spark the creativity that's needed to say, oh, here's how I want to use
Exactly.
my wisdom.
Yeah. And here's how we can solve this problem that we couldn't figure out a way to do before.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So, Olivia, how can people find you?
Well, I have a website and you can go and join my mailing list. The simple way to get to my website is Olivia PR as in parrud.com. So
Mhm.
oliviapr.com. I have a free gift if anybody would like. Go to giftfromolivia.com. There's a Wisdom Bears Blueprint, everything you need to know to get your wisdom out to the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. That's a really great gift.
Yeah. And if you sign up for my mailing list, you go to my website, you'll see how to get to my social media. I'm on LinkedIn and
Okay,
Twitter,
great.
Instagram. Yeah.
And also that people can find where to get your book too, which I'm sure, well, I know it's on Amazon
Oh,
because I've
great.
gotten it
So
there.
it's on Amazon and a quick link to 77-secrets.com.
Great.
Yeah.
Olivia, thank you so much for everything that you shared. I love how you share your wisdom and what you're doing in the world really to bring more of that to bear.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I want to thank our audience too for being with us here today at Wisdom Talk Radio. Remember that you can always find us anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube because we're also on YouTube. And if you've enjoyed today and listening to us, watching us, please do leave us a review because when you do, that allows other people to find this kind of wisdom. And ultimately, what Olivia and I are both invested in is the transformation of the world. So please do leave us that. And for more for yourself about your how to access your own personal connection, your own quantum personal connection, Take the Quantum Connection quiz today, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. We wish you well in your conscious explorations. For more information and to join in the conversation, our website is wisdomtalkradio.com or at Wisdom Talk Radio on Facebook.